you walked in here and you and I are having conversations on 2 or 3, 4 threads at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the mayor, we're talking about Twitter, we're talking about this, we're talking about that. It's like all functioning together.
Yeah.
But also you want to be able to dial it down if you need to. And a lot of people choose to dial their anxiety down with medication. That could mean smoking, that could mean drinking, that could mean actual antidepressants. And is that just a natural thing for humans, just to grab something that takes them out of that anxiety?
Absolutely. So all human beings are changing the way they feel by some external means: drinking, drug taking, gambling, sex, shopping, television, and food, particularly sugar food, the world's drug of choice, right?
We love to change our state, don't we? Intentionally.
Yeah, that's it. We change our state if it's too overwhelming, particularly what we call inescapable stress. So, particularly when it comes to, say, addiction, inescapable stress is just too much in an environment. I can't seem to control it. I need an out. So I'm going to go and, stuff myself with chocolate, or I'm going to go gambling, or I'm going to get drunk or something. Or just, internally within your world, I just can't stop thinking about this problem and the way I've been treated, and I'm replaying the movie over and over again. I got to get out of this. So when you look at, say, people who grow up in an environment, in a ghetto where there's inescapable stress because there's potential threats of violence, etc., continually, you can understand why they will turn to addiction. And then you look at, how do these, toffs, these rich kids, how do they end up as addicts? And, well, they get shipped off at a very young age, by their parents who didn't necessarily show them all the love they should have, and they're sent to boarding school, and they've got this sense of abandonment that lives with them forever. So their inescapable stress is solved by that. And you see, I'm generalizing massively, but the broad brushstrokes of what I just said are true. And this is, a new thinking in terms of why people are using escapism. And by the way, social media is another one. I'd put that in there too.
Yeah, everything on our phone is, like you said, something to take us out of the present, maybe out of the future. Before we jump into some of these techniques, I've always heard that expression that depression is living in the past, anxiety is living in the future, you should be present. How do you feel about that expression?
Well, I don't know if I entirely agree with it. To me, depression it's an umbrella for a term, rather, for a whole load of different things. Now, depression is partly neurochemical. It's also a coding issue. By coding, I mean the way that we represent reality to ourselves. What we see in our mind in the movies and what we say to ourselves, essentially, is the basis of neuro linguistic programming, NLP. So, for example, you can say to a depressed person, remember a time you felt good? And they'll go, I've never felt good. And you say, no, come on, surely there must have been a time. They went, I just thought I did at the time. So they've taken something that they did feel good about and they've recoded it. So their brain can take really happy stuff and turn it miserable, code it grey, etc. So depression is, it's real, it's neurochemical, but it's also psychological. And I've worked with quite a lot of people over the years who are depressed. I once got depressed myself about 10 years ago for a while when my father died, and I was working in the area of PTSD, depression, and got infected with it myself. And I've seen it. I've looked it in the eye, and it's a very dangerous place to be because you don't care about anything. You don't care whether you live or die, and so there's no point in anything. And I found my way back. I let my little timeshare at the edge of the abyss go, and I found my way back. And because of that, I'm now able to help people who are depressed, because when they talk about what's going on, I'm able to map that. I'm able to have a sense of rapport with people who are in that dreadful place, and gently help them back from that, because that's not something that's just flipped like that. It's usually a process over time. So I wouldn't say, I can see why somebody would make that statement, but depression it's usually a whole load of unprocessed emotions. It's usually a whole load of simultaneous disappointments, changes in environment, changes in perceptual filters, changes in the way someone's structuring their whole world, the way they're picturing it, what they're telling themselves. Their reality tunnel is one that doesn't have optimism and joy. It's usually no planning in it. It's usually seeing that they're just going to have more and more of the same. So what's the point? And if you go to, say, the end point with something like that, that's why people who commit suicide usually have low serotonin, dopamine, but also they feel so low they see it as a solution to the end of the pain. It's a sort of window of insanity.
And so also saying anxiety is living in the future is just simplifying it way too much.
Yeah,
It's much more complicated.
It's like a bumper stick. It's not bad, right? I mean, anxiety is, it's usually characterized as a feeling of foreboding, and I like the living in the future. It's the sort of thing, did Eckhart Tolle say that? It's the sort of thing he might say.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay. But this living in the future is, let me put it like this, right? This is the cast iron way of describing it, I think. The only way to feel good or bad about anything is to either remember something good or bad that happened, or imagine something good or bad that did happen. I mean, actually, if you take out the fact that something like is happening in the present, like being bitten by a dog, you could feel bad about that, right? Okay, but really the only two ways the majority of people in the world feel good or bad, remember or imagine, so past or future. So as my friend Richard Bandler says, disappointment requires adequate planning. And in order to be anxious, you got to be thinking forward, you got to be thinking about things that could go wrong. And the point of that is good. It's so you can head them off at the pass. It's so that you can go, this and this and that could happen. Oh, right, we'll take that and that step, and you've inoculated it, right? Or you've mitigated it. The problem is if that's all you do, if all you think about what could go wrong, you end up potentially making that a self-fulfilling prophecy. So as well as thinking about what could go wrong, you've got to think about what could go right. And that's the bit of the equation that a lot of people who are anxious miss out on.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.